Devolution and continuity of government. Is it over? Are we about to reconstitute? Welcome. Hello, everyone. I'm Jean-Claude Beyond Mystic. This is a special report here just before our coverage of the 2025 inauguration of Donald Trump, set to begin here in just about 30 minutes or so. I wanted to do this very special report before we get into that as a segmented clip. There's a lot going on, including what perhaps is a big change of the situation of our government here from the last 4 years. Let me bring that up on the screen for you guys. It was this executive order that was placed just yesterday night by the administration. So, John was reporting this here on Patriot or Patel Patriot. Holy effing shit. Yes. On the eve of Trump's inauguration, Joe Biden issues a partial revocation of Executive Order 13961. What does that mean exactly? So, if you guys have been following the Devolution series here on Badlands Media, these guys have been doing an excellent job, by the way. It appears that there were mechanisms put in place just before Trump's departure and before Biden's inauguration to put the government into a devolution state. In baby terms, explain it to me like I'm 5 years old. Basically, house proofing the administration here for this incumbent fake presidency. So is the theory that we're working with. Now, the executive orders that had to do with continuity of government and devolution have now partially been revoked. And I say that we'll get into a clip here in just a moment, but that's very important. The revocations here, if you go through what was just presented here on the White House.gov page, they're really revoking all of the elements that would be required for devolution. So this is on the eve of President Trump now taking office today on January 20th. It's very indicative of what might be happening behind the scenes. Now, is this a confirmation that we were, in fact, in a continuity of government situation? No, but it is a big signal. Are we going to hear more about this here in the next couple of hours and couple of days? Perhaps. This is why I wanted to do this very short and specific segment for you guys here to put this on the record before we get into the inauguration coverage here later today. So, if you want to see the whole analysis from Badlands Media, they posted this last night. It's about an hour and a half here. You can go check that out. That's on their Rumble page. But I'm going to play maybe a 3 or 4 minute clip now that brings this all home for us to understand. So let's go back to this page here and let me see if I can get this volume up for you guys. Let's play this and then we'll come back to for some more commentary.
Joined our kind of community late. On December 7th, 2020, Donald Trump issued Executive Order 13961. Now, remember, this is between the stolen election and the fake inauguration of Joe Biden. Of all of the things that Donald Trump did during that time, again, we'll call it the interregnum, the time between the stolen election and the fake inauguration of Joe Biden. Of all the things that Trump did, and there were very many that indicated that there was a devolution term being put into place. Executive Order 13961 was the one that laid out every part of how devolution would work, how continuity of government would work. And now, right before the end of the fake term, that executive order is essentially being revoked in every meaningful way. I hope that helps to those of you who've been asking for a boilerplate simple explanation.
It's like them saying, okay, the devolution phase is over in an unnecessary way. And I see people in the chat like Big Burgout, you can't have devolution if the devolution public can revoke devolution. I think that's where the confusion stems from. Pretty sure Big Burgout might be a troll if I'm wrong on that. But anyway, we
well, regardless of that, so that's a good point here. It is very possible that the puppet in the White House right now is somehow being fed his marching orders by a committee of people running the country, and it's not even him. And if you recall, just 2 nights ago, Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, kind of said so. A big bombshell dropped on Saturday night suggesting that Biden was not, in fact, in charge. So there's all these breadcrumbs that are suggesting that perhaps this fake pretendency is over. Now, whether or not we're going to see that in the mainstream news or even Trump allude to the fact that we are now past devolution and now getting back into reconstitution is the main question at hand. But for those of you who haven't followed and who are not too serious of or not too understanding of what's happening here, there was another post just earlier today. I thought it was interesting. Continuity of government is effectively been ended. Here's the original executive order. You guys can go find the link on that as well. But there's a couple of things here that are interesting, including this video. Janine and I reported on that on Inauguration
How proud
Day
I am of the
for Biden. And here they're talking about a transition to military power. Remember that? There's also the fact that the Biden administration was not given the nuclear football. The mainstream news was reporting on that as well. So it seems that there were, in fact, safeguards put in place here by Donald Trump leaving office in January 2021, and that situation now has either corrected itself or is on the verge of correcting itself here, and we're going back to reconstitution. But let's play that clip again from that military official talking about why these people here were here during the inauguration process.
how proud I am of the almost 25,000 National Guardsmen who have come in from all 50 states and territories to help support the Secret Service and the police departments that with a peaceful transition of military power.
Let me replay that.
With a peaceful transition of military power.
With a peaceful transition of military power. Fascinating indeed. Again, giving some credence and understanding to this executive order 13961. Now, this is big news. It's not being reported yet in the mainstream news. We're going to see if we're going to get actual confirmation of this, that we were, in fact, in a situation of continuity of government, as many of the researchers and alternative news have been suggesting here for the last 4 years. But this seems to be now at least a smoking gun pointing to the fact that something was very, very wrong in the last 4 years, and the situation that was being played out in the mainstream news and in politics was in fact a big, big show. So follow us on that. We're going to decode this a little bit more as the hours progress here today. And of course, in the following days of this week, I'm going to be recording here very shortly with Janine and Meg. Starting at 11:30 here, the inauguration broadcast special. We're going to be looking at some of the astrology. We're going to be looking at the cards behind the scene here to see what really is happening today. And if you haven't seen the show from last night, the Wacky Woo episode, I recommend you go check it out. We were looking at two specific data sets that Cliff High had sent us, and he was talking about some big earthquake here happening on January 20th, on the day of, or perhaps in the evening. Now, whether that earthquake is a natural physical earthquake or perhaps a ground shaking event here of all of this crazy news coming out and really shaking up the normie world as we know it. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be live here in just a few moments for the special broadcast here of the inauguration. I'm Jean-Claude Beyond Mystic. If you love these little reports, give me a thumbs up, and we'll see you again soon in a couple of minutes from now.